Greetings, greetings. Welcome back to the pod. You are through to Mad Poet Podcast. I am Alex Murdock, the Mad Poet. You are tuned to the Mad Poet Podcast. I say again, get my Umar Johnson on.
Ah,
um, Hope you're all doing well. And here with a good friend of mine, Mr. Strings. Have his page right now, Strings Theory. Check it out. I
yeah,
will leave a link so you can find him. Strings, how you doing?
good in these cold times. How
Man,
about you, bro?
not bad, man. I can't complain.
Mm.
Life is life, in as us black people would say. And
Because it is, it does that.
it does, man. It does. But you get to a point where it could just be me, but I don't really have bad days. I just take it as it is, man. And yeah, you have a learn or you win. There are no in
Right.
between, you know. So it's positive, man. It's positive. Outside of that, I haven't shared or shown these for a little bit, so I thought, you know what, let me just share this right now. Out right now, that's the Poach event, Chaotic
Yes.
Ramblings, which is the second volume, and I also have the first volume, which came out last year. So if anybody is looking to purchase or have a copy of what I create, um, you get a little bit of you get a little bit of what I can do on the podcast or when I do lives or different things like that. But if you want the full work, you have to get the book. Those are where the full blown pieces are on display, and you can find all of them on Amazon. You can type in Alex Murdoch, and I'm sure there's a lot of Alex Murdoch out there, but normally my name usually pops up because I have a few books that are selling. So support the page. We don't normally ask for donations and stuff like that here. Not to say that the pennies don't count, but we you can support in different ways, and I would say one of the ways to support the page is support the writers, support the creators, support Strings. His page is coming, and he's got something to say, and this is the beginning. So definitely stay with us, but support the page. Support the page, support the books. That's the first, and this is only the theme. This is the first, the last theme. That I've come, I've done. I've got one more of this theme, this poetry event theme, which is coming out next year. But before this theme, there was Poetry Journal, and that there was two volumes of that. And then I went to Poetry Event. Now there's been two volumes. There's going to be a third next year, summer. Prediction in the summer. Um, and once that's completed, we move to the next. I already know what the next is going to be, but let's not jump the gun. We're here now, and this is where we are. I'll show you again. This is the last published. I originally just went to a book fair, and yeah, these were the books. So as I was saying, um, you know, I read a lot of quotes on here, but If you want the full pieces, you can find the books on Amazon. That's where I put the full pieces to showcase what we do, what I do on here. And like I said before, support strings. His page is coming. I will make sure I leave an at to his page in the bio, so you can go see what he's doing, because he's quite at the box thinker as well. So yeah, I do pay attention to his page. um, but yeah, streets, go on. Let me just tell them about what's going on right now, and let me just do some of these comments, put them on the screen for you, so you can see.
Um, yeah, you know what? I don't know if I said this last time, but put on record. So my blog's touched um a few thousand views. Shout out to my readers in Singapore. Crazy. What? I don't know where they're coming from. But yeah, big up them. I've had a surge as of late. Um, yeah, I'm even. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like when I see the stats, I'm just like, how does it get there? Do you know what I mean? But I'm always grateful for when someone stumbles across it. They they tend to read more than just one post. So yeah, gonna um, post one before the year's over for sure. And yeah, like bro said, just trying to work on building a steady platform and just working on a lot of short stories, visuals with people that I trust their directive, their artistic vision and direction. So, and yeah, just trying to get better with the pen. I think that's a big goal of mine. So, yeah, just more works on the way, man.
No doubt, man. No doubt. All right. Um,
As we proceed,
as we proceed. Yeah, so the piece of today, let's get to it. So this is the quote I have for today's streams. And before I go there, it's got was it Tony Gonzalez? That's his thing on there. MZM. I don't know what that means. Then Adam I5G1Q says Halo as a Halo. You got Tony Gonzalez again, says DD. And you got yeah, Tony again, Halo, and then Hello.
there you go. Like,
Tony again.
shout out Tony.
Yeah, shout out to Tony, but he's getting busy in the chat. What they call him, the room goons. Yeah, but back to the piece, as I was saying. All right. A monument in the making, steadying feet and hands in the process while making the road grows harsh, one is prone to forsake it, the plight of many men. So I say to thee, I shall be iron in my resolve, with iron feet. Let me say that again. I shall be iron in my resolve, even if it means being elusive with iron feet, roaming away from the dirty. I see thee in camouflage, beneath molasses in creek, footsteps from a crab tree, imprints of crab feet I wish I didn't see. You would have had me, but I did. That was like a stanza I just gave you.
Yeah. Literally thinking about one of my favorite artists. They usually are very good at poetry and spoken word, and the way it just
Hmm.
translates is wide. I catch it so vividly. Um, so yeah, bro, the flow is always top tier. And yeah, that even that piece, that bar that you reread, I get it.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, real one as well. Actually, if we focus on that for a quick second, so quick. So I mean, naturally, you want to be, you know, sharpen our iron, but never thought about how rooted that might have you. Um,
true. Very
like,
true.
yeah. So it's like, okay, oh wow, yeah, I want to be good at this, but if life, influences me to sway another way, but I'm too rooted, then a bit of a mess there.
Yeah. Yes, it's a peculiar one. I
Mm,
usually, I always, the way I like to do it is, when I write pieces, I email them to myself. So it's only, this one email that's only strictly for creative work and business. So I email it to myself, and so normally when I pick pieces, I try to get the most vintage one I can find. So whatever my email allow me to access the oldest one, which is usually like a month out the last time I wrote it.
yeah,
Well, since I wrote it, that's usually, so this is like the oldest one I could find to share today. That I thought, you know what, okay,
yeah.
this is something that we could sort of kind of start the conversation with. But I can see, knowing who I am, I can see, I can see a little bit of inspiration of the Yellow Brick Road in there, you know, hence the Iron Feet, as opposed to the well, you
And
know how I feel. So
what did he
uh,
need?
he was, man, what was it? It was it made from, because it was
Oh,
the line without the heart.
yeah,
It was the straw man. He wasn't. Was it? Is it fear?
yeah. Tin Man.
No, no. The lion. No, the straw man didn't have the heart. The lion didn't have the courage. I think. Was there a third one?
Ah, yeah. Uh,
Oh yes, and the Tin Man.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think
That's what I was
actually I
referring
think
to.
he's the one that didn't have the heart.
Yeah, yeah. He needed it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. So
There you
that's
go.
sort of
I'm
where
with
I sort of draw that whole idea of iron feet, but
you.
I'm able to be elusive um, despite having iron feet. Normally most people don't relate, elusivity or flexibility with, or even agileness, agility to being somebody that's made of iron with iron feet. So somewhat chaotic, as you'd imagine, but sort of like my own spin on it. And when you think about all the other lines that's surrounding it, the road grows harsh. I mean, no wonder I need iron feet, because the road grows harsh. If I couldn't take the severity of what I'm going through, I would break down. So I have no choice but to have iron feet. But when you think about iron feet, it comes with iron skin as well, or at least invulnerability beyond the normal scope of what we would somewhat see as that. Um, Yeah, man, roaming away from the dirty. You know, we speak about crabs in a barrel all the time, and there's nothing more dirty than dirty people, but dirty people with dirty intentions. You know, and that's usually what you'd find in the crabs in a barrel. It's the it's the poor man's mentality sort of thing, which is what I'm alluding to. Dirty people, that's one thing, but then you have dirty people with dirty minds and poor mentality overall. That's breathing scarcity. That's um that's a harsh place to be in, and all they want to see is your pitfall sort of thing. So it grows hard. It grows harsh. Um, but sometimes I can somewhat make it a bit more clearer, somewhat a bit more exploratory, where people can say, sometimes I do certain pieces. I do that with certain pieces you read is going to be focused on symbolism. It's going to be more symbolic, and sometimes you don't realize, or I'm sure you do, but certain people don't realize. But it's just I'm just giving you sounds. I'm just giving you sounds. I'm painting a picture with sounds, so it's more onomatopoeic, aligned with rhythm, and so I'm just croaking, croaking. It's like sometimes it's like an old man. Do you get what I mean? And this kind of like the way it flows as well, and it just comes out like that. But I'm telling a tale, and sometimes it's not necessarily the words, but it's the sounds that alludes to really what I'm trying to express. You know, so it varies. It varies. Um, Now, there's a reason why I call this food for thought. Now, I'm gonna give you all of it once, pause, and then we're gonna break it down. So, this is the first thing that came to mind. What defines the light? And you say this is what it's supposed to be. Does the person live by their resolve or thoughts or that of somebody else? Is fear the true fairness? Why do we need this life? Why is a grave um, why is a graveyard one of the richest places with so many buried dreams? Is life what you've always surmised it to be before living? Does what does love bring? Happy ever after or ambiguous beginnings? So that's where those are things, hence the reason of the title. Um, what defines the light? And you say this is what it's supposed to be. With a lot of things, what comes to mind is just the spoils of war is an example of that, where a lot of times you hear people speaking about history, and it's being told by the person that by the victor. History is normally told by the victor, so their definition and their perspective is dominant in the narrative that they spin. And sometimes I'm sitting there, I'm wondering, well, what about the other side? What about the bigger context? What about the things that I can't see that didn't necessarily allude to, or you chose not to share? You know, and this is where I come from with this. So who? So for example, who decided that the light was supposed to be good and the dark was supposed to be bad, sort of thing? You know. So this is where I'm at with it, and I'm just sort of just breaking that part down, because at the end of the day, when you think about this, we always say the light can't live without the dark, and the dark can't live without the light. So why is one bad and why is one good? At least by society's surmise, anyway. So yeah, this is where I'm at with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Thoughts?
in the first half of the piece, I think you say you mentioned along the lines of questioning whether how do you measure your your existence by your thoughts or your actions, and there so that is it's all a conundrum because one must think before he does, and if one
Yeah,
does before he thinks, it's still both ingrained in a predisposition of um, things that go beyond um, the everyday thought cycle of what do I need to eat? Um, what does this person think about me? All these things that seem to cloud our minds, which um, really does draw attention
yeah,
to how often people reflect about what it is that they're going through, um, as opposed to, oh, I'm in my head all day because I struggle to get out of it, which is very challenging in itself. But
yeah,
I mentioned that because I usually do mention to people until you question your thoughts, it's a long day for you because one has to understand how to get into that hamster wheel of asking those questions to be able to come off it in the first place. Um, but things like light and dark, it's a question that many men have and women have asked, and I think those two concepts are as old as time. No, sorry, they're older than time because
yeah,
um, those are what um, everything comes from. Um, when you close your eyelids, that's it. You know, you go to darkness, and then when you open them, your
yeah.
eyes take in light in the most miraculous way for you to see um, what things are.
Mm,
Um, so with that perspective, it's like it's incredible to see how that's been, like you say, dwindled into good versus bad.
mm,
But as you've mentioned in the past as well, what comes from darkness is things that people struggle to understand or figure out why they come from there in the first place. But essentially, things in darkness are better hidden, and which is why the truth
yeah,
lies there as well. A lot of harsh truth as well, and people come in those segments as well. You've got polarities of truth. Um, people's favorite example is, oh, I say what I like, and if you don't like it, deal with it.
yeah,
All right, good for you. Do you know what I mean? But that does come with a reckoning of not knowing how to be careful in how you deliver a message, um, depending on the context of what needs to be delivered as well. Because learning how to use both will get you far to help you serve what it is that you need to do and the purpose. And if you use too much light, you need that. Where are your boundaries? Where are the uncomfortable truths for you to share to let an opposing force let you know that you still have the capability to stand up for yourself, and it can get ugly, as it should, because that's what all this is about. As much as people say, oh, life is about seeing this, and it's like, yeah, but you also need to see the ugly to appreciate the beauty. Um, so once you have those two, it makes sense for you to venture further into what um, kind of thoughts you're having. Um, and what's the saying? Be careful of what you consume, because that becomes your daily reality. So that's a whole fact, not just I'm vegan. Okay, like, are your thoughts vegan? As my um, mentor would tell me.
Man, you're right. You're right. The one thing I always it's a rarity when you hear somebody say, perhaps let me be objective, or let me hear both sides, or at least let me try to be balanced, or like, you get what I mean, just don't necessarily be biased. Let's go with that. Let's not be biased, sort of thing. Just see it for what it is. Even if you know in yourself that you're biased, but you state it, I think that's you being objective, because how you feel is not necessarily how you think. Two different things. But once you verbalize that, I think it changes the whole situation. It changes the whole narrative, as well as your capability of seeing things for what it is, or at least speaking about it for the truest fashion of what you see, and can express. And I think this is the one thing that I think perhaps is the plight of the human, that is us, for the most part, where we just want what we want. We don't necessarily seek, um, like, across the board, where there is different aspects, but we want to see the full picture. We only want to see what makes us, perhaps makes us feel, or makes us um, happy, which is go back to feeling again. And I think for us, it seems to be such a struggle to be objective. And it just makes me wonder, what, is objectivity so rare, or are we just that selfish? Or, yeah, that selfish to say that, what, it doesn't benefit me to be this way, to see the bigger picture, to somewhat see or understand somebody else's situation. So big on, and you just leave that. You just leave that behind. You just neglect it. And it don't really comes to mind, and only if it affects you, perhaps, then you might think twice and say, you know what, I need to pay attention or do something about this, or at least just lend an ear so I can listen. I think we struggle when it's got nothing to do with us to the highest degree, and we also struggle when it's got nothing. Um, we more I think we sort of kind of revel in it at that point, sort of kind of like a pigsty, when it's to do somebody that we don't like, or we're not a fan of, just like, yeah. So there's a stigma to that, I would say. Um, and yeah, so to this one, I'm not sure if you kind of tapped into this one as well. Does the average person live by their resolve or thoughts? or that of somebody else. I'm not sure if we did, perhaps a little bit, but it's tricky. But again, it comes back to this mentality of not being forthcoming, even if it's with yourself, because in this day and age, it's such a tricky thing. But I find so many people lack knowledge of self, and even worse beyond that, you say you might lack knowledge of self, but you're not even seeking it. And not to the degree that oh man, you're a philosopher or you're a poet like us or anything like that, but you just don't know yourself. And you might be a grown man, like in your late 50s, and sometimes what you find is people find or have a little bit of knowledge of self when they hit 60 or in their 60s. On the way out, like you already got one foot out the door, but now you want to chase this. And not only that, and this is the part that comes with it, that's just like, man, it's crazy. They want to give you the most advice. They know the most because they have that saying, empty shells make the most noise. And not to say that I'm sort of kind of demonizing or just be making negative of it, because I think it's important. No matter, it don't matter the age you find it, but I think there's a certain humbleness that speaks to people that attain knowledge or attain certain success. There's a certain grace that comes with it, and I always find people that don't necessarily haven't sort of kind of grasp that concept because they haven't necessarily had the chance to live in abundance or to win to that degree. Um, they struggle with that. It's sort of like the person that don't know how to handle power. And I'm going off on one, but yeah, this for me, this is what it's like. Somebody that don't necessarily know how to handle power. You probably don't know how to handle power because you don't know yourself. And really and truly, it's always in, and that's why pain is such a revelation, because pain shows you exactly who you are. Pain is, I like to think of it as the chamber of secrets, sort of like some Harry Potter thing. But ultimately, the idea is that pain reveals all, even of knowledge of self. Pain is the way. If you truly want to attain knowledge or wisdom, it's begets through pain. Well, a lot of people would say unfortunately, but isn't there always a price to pay? You know, isn't there always a price to play? This is the game we play. So, they say, the price, you the the joke when you took it. So, how much do you really want? It's essentially what I'm asking. Close your.
Yeah, going, yeah, definitely going beyond. Yeah, just back to thought as well. Like I mentioned as well, like even when you get on that hamster wheel of questioning so much, um, many of us have marveled at how far we come when we even look at the hamster wheel of, what's this, what's all this, what's this all mean, and um, you f- it what's this say? It's like you know where people come off and just say that's enough, um, and um, I think the humbleness that comes with people that do know themselves, that do um, touch abundance and power and manage it very well is, you know, with the great understanding of realizing of what can be given, what can also be taken away, um, and just how much energy it takes to be the sort of person that, you know, wants to make themselves known for being this sort of character that, and it's just like it's just long, like it's so long, just going around and say, hey, I know more than you. It's like, really? Why? Like, because one would just say, well, are we using this for our real development, or are we using it um, to show off and make a statement? Then it's like, what's the point? What was the point then? Um, because eventually, when you do come across not particularly a crowd, but um, either people or yourself will hold you accountable for what it is that you possess, um, which is why they also hold to a high regard. Um, Example, funnily enough, is people who use celebrities as scapegoats for why they aren't doing a particular thing, or voicing their opinion for a certain cause or whatever it is. And it's like, so immediately you can tell that because they are put into a certain position and they have more visibility, that comes with a price. And the price is always, are you using that platform you're on for good? Um, and if you're not, then, you know, your shelf life can be quite short. um, and that also is the price being paid, because while you're on that shelf, you're looking at things from a very different view. You're looking at like light, and you're looking at light and dark like never before. Um, and people want to claw at that, thinking that if they were there, they would only see it for their own selfish gain. People will treat me a certain way. Um, I'll be able to get more of a certain lifestyle, or I'll be more in the know or in the mix. Um, whereas it's like, well, okay, like, you do realize if you want to see all that, you gotta be able to handle the pressure that comes with that mentally, because your mind will spiral. Um, and I think I've mentioned this before, but yeah, Three Stacks. I said this very recently. Shout out Three Stacks, where he said being famous is very abnormal, um, because it clings to you in ways that most emotions don't, and especially because it's outside of you as well. So no matter what type of person you are, like, dealing with that and not being ready for it mentally will shock you, like, drastically. So put putting that on, and it's so funny. People want that, but they don't know themselves. So the price, you don't even know what the price is that you're paying. So you just pay it and think, yeah, you know, everyone knows me, and you know, I live a better life than people would want to have. But it's like, okay, um, when that starts to disappear, what do you do now? Um, so yes, pain is the catalyst for many things, but truth is definitely up there, because um, the amount of things that you as an individual would have to accept about yourself um, is very painful, and which is why many people don't deal with it, because they want to be able to sleep at night. And um, learning how to have a relationship with the truth is why it comes in stages. Hence, why our elders and the natural cycle of life is when you are of age, you are revealed more of life, that is because you are able to handle it. It is not because they think they are better than you or they know more than you. It's no, that cycle is there to help us keep in line with what we are ready for. Um, because one can only imagine if you receive things too soon or too late, very costly. So, yeah, I'll leave it with that.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's some valid points you covered there. Um, I always think about fear, and the reason why I bring this up is because a lot of times when I hear, "Oh man, it's fear," and you know, when you're small as a child, you think to yourself, "I know what fear means," sort of thing, and then you sort of mature, and then you start to observe, and you see this peculiar word called fear, and you listen to it. Yet it's very rare that you see things that is somewhat recognized in that description as, oh man, this is fear, like this is fear, sort of things. But it seems to me, if you do, there's certain stipulations that comes with this word that is fear. So I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, well, it seems to me like fear is sort of like a it strikes me as somewhat of a socialist idea sort of thing. Um, because ultimately, fear is objective. Fear is subjective, isn't it? Don't get me wrong. To a
Mm,
degree, fear is subjective because anybody can say, okay, well, this is fear to me, so I want this.
yeah,
Now, there's a broader scope on what fear being fear is. Yeah? But for the most part, we know that most people are not going to be objective enough to be, okay, 50-50, which is supposed to be the real fear. Nobody's doing that. So I come back to this word, and let's stick a pin on that side of it. Then we come to the other side of fear, where you're supposed to be a situation where you know what, I can I have this situation, and this is what I want. Um, this is what it is, and I just want it. I just want it. Or it's a situation where I don't necessarily know how I'm gonna get this, but I just want it. But I'm not willing to work for it. I'm not willing to, you know, um, go out and get it. You know what? That still fits into the scope of what I'm thinking about before, which is sort of like the socialist outlook of it. But ultimately, it kind of fits the same consistency of what I'm speaking about to do with fairness. So let me just go to the point. The point I'm trying to make is fair to me. It seems to be um, sort of like an ideal. Fair is only fair if it's deserving. That's the only fair you can sort of kind of stamp, give your stamp of approval. And what I mean by deserving is the fact that you know what, you worked for this, or you went out and you did this. So deservingly, it's yours. But to, back in when you were kids, you're like, I touched it, so it's mine. I think this is the type of fear I see in everyday life now. People just sort of kind of like just touching something or putting their tongue on it and then claiming it that it's theirs. And that's fear. It's the subjectivity of fear, which is what I think exists in this society on a macro scale, which is it's intriguing to me. It's intriguing to me. So it just sort of makes me wonder, what is the real fear? Is unfairness the more objective form of fear that we should sort of kind of embrace if we are to sort of live in this world and make the best of what this world have to give? Because if you treat the world as unfair, you do your best to make the best of your situation. So whether the world is fair or not, it's irrelevant. I know what I'm going to do. Whether or not I accomplish it, I'm going to do it. A little bit long-winded, but this is where I'm at with that. Floor's yours.
Yeah. Glad you brought that up because I think that is at the root of what churned the life cycle of the thought. No one is born anxious, like no one. So it's a learned and honed thought process. So yes, what fears I have is definitely different to someone else, but and everyone is in their own right of mind to justify what constitutes fear to them. Um, so definitely, um, when one shares their fears, as we are all humans having an experience, um, how quickly one can respond to it and overcome it is what essentially what we're judging it by. Um, and even if one hasn't overcome it, the difference in character and amount of effort to overcome that fear is by what they stop themselves from seeing the bigger picture. Because my understanding and teachings um, are that fear is a program. No, so first is the survival mechanism, first off, because if one has no sense of fear, one can be in very harmful, dangerous, or stupid situations, thinking, "Yeah, no
Hold
one's
on,
fine."
Springs. Hold on.
Yeah,
I just have to clarify. That's not the type. That's not the type of. I'm not saying fear. Fear, as in fairness, as in 50-50.
oh
Like,
yeah,
now I
because
just want to make that clear.
yeah, so I'm starting with that, and then we're gonna go towards how I feel it dictates what um, people's decisions to what it can make them have an impact on. So, because you mentioned the word fear earlier, it developed my train of thought to what makes me think about how I come out of that And then if we end with 50-50, I look at the mindset of what can keep people locked when it comes to what I say, justice, when we talk about what is fair. 50-50. Yeah, okay, cool. um so yeah, thanks for clarifying. um but yeah, if with that being said, then fear failure, that is one um of the steps that is very, very, very interesting, um because before you do something, you've already seen it in your mind. I'm sure everyone can agree. And if they can't, that's an issue that you need to go and see someone about immediately. Um, because that's, if that, in my eyes, that's an illness that needs to get checked. Because um, if you are not allowing, yeah, low key for real. Because like, if your mind isn't allowing you to see you go through with something, there's an issue, a big one. Um, but because you feel it's not harming you physically every living second, when it technically is, it's gonna stop you right there. Um, but that is one that can easily be open to the conversation of, well, I've done this in the past and I haven't gotten anything, but yet they live like this, or they don't do anything and they get that. So why is that not fair? So then people, we've all been there, and I have, where it's like, okay, so why should I do anything? And then it allows that seed to just say, you know what, well, let's just stay here and be comfortable and know where everything is. Um, and anything past that, it's, oh, there's too much light that we don't want to expose. Let's stay in the darkness. So I think the mind is the most powerful tool when it comes to manipulating how thoughts um, can be used to protect you um, from change, growth, and also comfort you from um, lies and truth, which is which is very um, which is very interesting. But I think with that, um, to sum this all up for me, chain of thought is a large portion of how you see the world. And if you share how you see the world with someone else or a large group of people, and they see that as very abnormal, some struggle, and someone even mentioned this today, and and I agree with them with how they are careful about how they share their thoughts because of who they are. Is no one likes to be an outcast, and I think that's the biggest fear um, that comes with how you are treated. Because now, if I start saying, people shouldn't eat chicken, immediately everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, wait, whoa, why? What do you mean?" Like, and then you're labeled, and then you go through this whole self-punishment process of, but I just shared what I thought. Am I evil? And blah blah blah. Um, so then you have people that start blending in more, or physically changing their thought processes and their beliefs and value systems in order to be accommodated by others so that they may feel safe. And if you do that long enough, you will stop seeing details and the light and dark in most cases. So that way, um, when someone shares something with you, you can just say, "Oh, I can see why that makes sense," or "I can see the fairness in that." When if you weren't doing that in the first place, you would have been quicker to react and say, well, this isn't fair, or there's no justice in this because of um, X, Y, Z, and you'll stand on that. So, I'm one of the person, but I don't know. I hear this a lot where it's like, now I heard this so much about myself where I start to flip it, where people ask me, you're crazy, aren't you? And I'll say yes. And the shock would be like, wait, you're not meant to be agreeing. And I'm like, well, I am, because by the definition itself, it's one that doesn't think like the masses. And I weave that so well into conversation. um, it's for no theatrics. It's simply what I've tried and tested, and I'm confident in myself to speak up for. So, you know, I've embraced being the outcast because my thoughts keep evolving and keep breaking barriers in order for me to get to a place where I can share them comfortably on platforms like this, in the art cases, in the art that I create, in the conversations I have with people and myself. So that way we can keep strengthening this platform within myself. So that way, when new thoughts come, we learn how to assimilate them rather than me not even thinking beyond what could contain me and then go about and do its bidding, which is a conversation for another day. But yeah, that's why I'm gonna leave it there for today.
Nah, that's real, man. That's real. I like where you took that. Um, yeah, man. It's important to have the not necessarily always, but life is a spectrum. You don't always have to be like that, but you always have to. It's important to have the ability to stand alone. In essence, as we say, sovereignty. Or at least understand what the parameters of that dictate. I think a lot of times that's the situation a lot of people find themselves in, where they don't necessarily know how to be by themselves. But essentially, all these things that we're speaking about, what does it lead back to? Back to being human. It leads back to knowledge of self, which is pretty much how we started off. And until you sort of kind of gain knowledge of self, you can't develop wisdom for yourself. This journey that we call life, it's very important. So, I would advise everybody um, to, have a think on that. There's a lot more that we need to cover, so we're gonna have to probably make this a
Part two,
continuation episode. Yeah, so we can
chain of thoughts.
kind of yeah, chain of thoughts, right?
This stuff easy, man.
I'm telling so we can explore some of the other topics. Um, but yes, if I could share or encourage anybody to take anything from what we're speaking about, is knowledge of self, gain knowledge of self. Very important, very important. Um, Strings, you have anything to say before we go?
Yes, and please remind me, because it just came to my mind, that sometimes it's good even for people like myself to just go for a quick glance at the basics. Um,
Mm,
because someone told me the other day, like when statements like that are made, mostly people who make them don't say how. They just say, and it's like, and I'm like, raw, like, because the curiosity was had driven me how to do it. when someone knocks at the door and they don't hear a reply, they're just gonna go away, and that's very natural. So yeah, in the conversation for the next part, I would definitely mention what of the basics to do, because that's such it's so broad. Do you know what I mean? Don't just sit there, because the first thing the thing your mind would do is attack you. It's like, who do you think you are? Trying to be quiet. I'll show you who runs this place. Um, so
That's a whole.
yeah,
Yeah, no doubt. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. This one is a very abstract sort of conversation. If you where it potentially can be. Now, these are real things we're speaking about. But what I would like for people to do is just share um, their thoughts. I did. Somebody did share a comment on the one of the episodes. Um, I think last week. Um, but with this one specifically, I would like to hear what people think and what they're thinking about to do with relates to them and some of these questions to the comments. So yeah, if anything, just let us know. But I appreciate the support and everybody that tunes in, and even the troll babies, chat room goons, as they say, um, that share their comments and everything like that. It's all fun, man. It's all fun. We do what we do. But yes, I'm Alex Murdock, my poet. That's Strings Theory, and this is my poet podcast. Until next time, take care.
peace.